It's Ada from Poison Rock, and it's my pleasure to give kind of welcome back to Sodom, but this time with Tom Angelripper. First of all, how is going, Tom?
Nice to meet you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good and really pleased because I was really looking forward for this interview. I mean, last time was during COVID, and that's where the Arsonists were taking place, I guess.
Yes, yes. Yeah, during the Corona pandemic, we wrote the Genesis 19 album, the last one,
Yeah,
which is now 5 years ago,
yeah. I mean, the
It's
time
amazing.
flies, time flies. So
Yes, so fast. Yeah, really.
yeah, but like we were saying before, you kind of didn't. You can put your album anywhere, literally, in any website, in any store, and people, oh, so buy it. Okay, no promotion at all.
I hope so. Yes. Yeah, we still have a strong fan base, waiting for the new album and
It was,
especially waiting for all the configurations, which
yeah.
I got the first copy yesterday.
And
I
again,
hold this in my hand, this is a vinyl version, the regular one, and it's always a very happy day after all the work to get the finished
yeah,
product in the hand,
and especially
I'm
adding
really proud of it.
the vinyl, the vinyl in
Yes,
your hand or a CD. So let's say the vinyl because it's one of the most the people love the most. Let's say all the
I
people buy.
prefer vinyl, yes,
Yeah,
because I think it sounds better.
and also you showed the cover art, which I know is
Yes.
really also important. So I wanted to ask you how you collaborated with the artist behind the cover art. It was like
Yeah,
you had to do like
it's a,
do this, or just there was some influences because it's important.
yes.
People sometimes forget.
I met this guy. This is a Polish artist. I met him. I think it's 2 or 3 years ago. I played in Norway. And he visited a Sodom show, and he told me he's a big Sodom fan, and he told me if it would be glad if he can do the new cover artwork. But I know that the last cover artwork in it was ghost covers.
Okay.
Which is completely different to
Different,
what
yeah, from
I
your
want.
sound, your sound. Okay, yeah.
Yes, and he told me he's also able to do airbrush, like Andreas Marshall or Joe Petagno who did the covers before
Yeah.
the iconic ones. And then we start working. He told me if you have some lyrics or you have some song fragments,
Okay.
please send me everything you got. So he get inspirations. And first I came up with a soldier sitting with the dead,
Yeah.
together. It's a very, very holy situation. And he came up with the idea, the Knarrenheits coming over, destroy everything.
I mean,
He's the arsonist. He want to set the world on fire. But this cover up needs, I think, 2 or 3 years because sometimes he come with some sketches
and
or scribbles, and we change a little bit. And in the end, I'm so glad we got it out. It's a wonderful and one of the best solo
yeah.
covers the last years.
And it's a artwork. It's not something from the digital.
Oh, it's not digital, it's not AI,
Yeah. It's your
And if people say this is generated by artificial intelligence, whatever, it's not true. It's handmade.
and that's the
So
beauty.
everything, the music, the cover artwork, and everything is handmade. And that is very important to say. I don't want to talk about
No,
AI, whatever, because we don't want to use it.
yeah, and everyone speaks about AI anywhere. We hear already too much in the
Yes, and
in
I
the
think
world.
there is already music out who's coming from AI or cover artworks. Okay, if you're going to use this kind of software nowadays, and you told people this AI, it's okay. But if you are a cover artist and you painted a cover and the people say you generated it by AI, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's
It's
also
a shame for musicians, for cover artists, for songwriters, whatever.
of course. And of course, always coming back to the cover art, because like you said, there was a collaboration, different sketch sent. Which is in your point of view, the message that you want to send throughout the cover art, not throughout the album, throughout the cover art? It's resonate with the message of the Arsonist? Because I said that I can see that it's always the same element, the same sound of the soul of Sodom. But there's something different in your point of view. So the point of view of Tom.
No, I said when I work with the cover artists together, I wish to have a Sodom cover with the typical Sodom trademarks in it. That is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that's a soldier, the Knarrenheinz, which are in Germany, you know, that's an iconic one on every cover, you know. And he said, I know Knarrenheinz, I'm the big SODOM fan, you know. So I know exactly what you want, you know. And we came up also with different album titles. I got an idea called, the album called The Shadowland, you know. And then my guitarist, he's a metal specialist, and he said, okay, there was another band out, I forgot the name, with an album titled Shadowland, you know, so I cancel it, you know.
Okay.
But it's very hard nowadays to find song titles, album titles, which nobody used before, you know what I mean? And if you Google something, you find it, you know. So he said the Arsonist is a very placative album title, and it fits to the cover. you know. Like, you know, on the backside, you know, there are.
I mean, I can see that it's SODOM. I mean, you show me, and I'm gonna say that it's SODOM. That's the soul of it. I mean,
that is very important. It's also the music and everything covered. And it's we can go without the SODOM trademarks in it, you know.
yeah.
We have to do it. Even when we're going to write the songs, you know. We have a couple of different songs because we have 3 songwriters in a band now, because our drummer Tony is also a very good guitarist. And he came up with guitar riffs and arrangements. So this makes this album so colorful, you know. And Frank Blackfire is the one who played the old school thrash guitar, like Agent Orange style, you know. And York came up with more epic guitar riffs, you know. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, SODOM is not a typical thrash metal band.
No, it's not like that.
It's more, I think it's more maybe bands Exodus or Destruction, whatever, you know. SODOM is a metal band, you know. And if you get the typical trademarks in the songs as well, when I do the lyrics on it, I put my vocals on it, it's a SODOM song, you know.
Yeah, because of course.
And it's important for me to write songs where you listen to the chorus lines and you never forget it, you know. That is very important. So we can do what we want, you know. We don't look left or right what other bands do, you know. There is no dictation from a record company. We just do what we want, and that is SODOM. And SODOM, in my opinion, is the only band who never really changed, you know, in all the periods. You know? And
of course, I mean, after all these years, let's say, in the trenches of music, I don't want to say the trenches of thrash, because you got a lot of influences. So let's keep it the statement Teutonic thrash. Let's keep it out. We don't. Let's put it like in that trench of music, because this is what it is. You just stayed authentic to yourself and never changed in all these years, like in the soul and the core. How does it feel? I mean, how did you do it? Because so many bands, you know, they fell apart, they goes away. You are still here as a pillar in the music scene for anyone. I mean,
it's very easy. Just do what you want, you know. I don't want to leave any SODOM fans disappointed when we bring an album out or a single, whatever, you know. It doesn't matter. I know exactly, because we are still in contact to the fans, to the fan base, you know. And I know exactly what they want, you know. And this kind of music we're going to do all over the decades. When we started from Inner Sauna even to nowadays, it's typical SODOM, you know. We changed the lyrics in the beginning, you know, then we get more live-based songs, you know, live-based music. But in the end, so in my opinion, it's the most famous underground band in the world, you know. But people say about the Teutonic thrash, like with Creator, Destruction Tank, or whatever, you know, it's okay, you know. But in the end, when we first write the songs, we write the songs for ourselves. When I say I like the song, it's good. It's a good SODOM song, you know. I know exactly that the fans gonna like it too, you know. And after all the years, what you ask me, you know, I'm still creative, you know, I'm still healthy. But, you know, I think there are some rumors around that I want to stop doing the music, which you heard, maybe. That's true, you know. You know, I can tell you, I want to stop this. I want to slow down the things a little bit. We have two upcoming shows next month. And I need a break. I need just a break for my family, for my friends, for my other passions I have, you know. So that I don't think about any tour. I know that the record company told me, if you bring an album out, you have to play on the festivals around the world, you know, and the touring, whatever, you know. I don't. I need time for other things, you know.
I think it's up to you. I mean, you created all Sodom family, all Sodom fan base, all you created such a beautiful, it's like fan base core that, like I told you, you can put anything from the merchandise, from the album out, people gonna grab it because they know that it's authentic. They know
Yeah,
it's you, it's your
that's
song.
what I know. I know that the family is getting stronger, because there is also new generation metal fans growing up.
Yeah,
I talked to a young girl. She was 10 years old during the last tour,
huge.
and she's wearing a vest with patches from Venom, Hellhammer, Raven, Tank, all the British bands,
Yeah,
And she told me she liked the old school metal bands, historical metal bands, the real metal bands coming from the 80s,
yeah.
And I asked her, what is about modern bands like Arch Enemy, whatever, She said, I hate it. I just love, I'm a big Venom fan, I'm Sodom fan, Tank and all the stuff. That is great. There is a new
Yeah.
generation who are really interested in nostalgic or historical metal bands,
You love, yeah.
So I'm not afraid that we are
Just,
going out without any fans, The fans growing up all the time.
I mean, your music is legacy. I mean, what you created with all your album release, the most iconic songs. How many bands there are around the world that are covering your own music? I mean, we lost the count. That's how to get to
I
know
know.
you with the most famous Agent Orange. My friends were playing, I'm like, who's the song? And then, of course, get to know the band. I was like 14, 15. I got my bass and I was like, I can't play it properly, but let's try. But it's something that
Even we can play our old songs. I remember when we did the 40 years sampler 2 years ago. We have to replace all the older material with new recordings. That was really funny. So we got in all to the older material, obsessed by cruelty stuff.
Yeah.
And that was really funny. Tony, my drummer, told me he loved the Witch Hunters drumming.
Yeah.
Because Witch Hunter created he was a chaotic drummer,
Yeah.
but he created an iconic style.
Yeah.
And our drummer Tony tried to copy the Witch Hunter style with more modern drumming, more accurate drumming.
Yeah.
And that was really funny. Because we know where we're coming from.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
still 100% behind my older material. We started with In a Son of Evil, Obsessed by Cruelty, which I really like. And I know that especially Obsessed by Cruelty had so big, so massive impact to the black metal scene in these
Yeah,
days, and
indeed.
still nowadays,
Even
I
with the
know
first EP.
that the Mayhem musicians all were big Sodom fans, but especially Obsessed by Cruelty,
Yeah, but also
That makes me proud, and I'm still lucky that I'm still able to do music, I'm still in the scene,
yeah.
But it's just a result of hardworking men,
Yeah, but
if you're doing a professional band, you're working every day with it,
of course, but even with the first EP in the Sign of Evil, it was on the first way kind of the black metal. I mean, it was there. It was there, like where there was no name of the genre yet, but kind of influencing everything. So you kind of put the basis for. You see, that's why we don't say like kind of Teutonic thrash metal. It put the base for a lot of genres. That's what your band like Sodom or other big names are a statement. It's not like
Yes.
this is something that will never end. You're in 80s and still today, still with the new music, with the Arsonist, you're changing all on and on the music history. And that's something that I think you must feel amazing because it's like a writer. When a poet you write a poem and you read in a history book. Your music is in music history book, that's for sure.
That will always be alive. The music will always, when we go, the music gonna stay forever,
Yeah, and
That
of
is
course
very important.
about the
But it's
artist.
important
Yeah,
to say that we never change. That is our success, We are not the best musicians, we don't have any bigger spectacular show on stage, whatever. We don't need it. We are a metal band,
yeah. I mean,
We don't need anything on stage like dragons, whatever, swords and all this stuff, We
yeah,
just need a martial wall, a big drum riser, good light and good sound, and then we go.
yeah, because
We gotta concentrate on our music and ourselves, our attitudes, And that's what the people really enjoy. You know, the people say
Yeah.
SODOM never changed. We know when we go to the SODOM show, we're gonna buy an album. We know exactly what we get. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be the same with the Arsonist, because let's say to the people, it's gonna be out the 27th of June, and already a single is gonna be released, Trigger Discipline. So what can, of course, the sound is SODOM sound, but in your point of view, there's something maybe a little bit different from the Genesis 19, because of course there are 5 years of gap. And in these 5 years, a lot of things happen in the world. And I know that SODOM takes in heart what happened around the world. So we're gonna, in the lyrics wise, sound wise, all the world, whatever shit was going on, had some influence in this album.
Yes, you know, it's not a big war. You know, it's not. When I write the lyrics about it, you know, it's not the big war. It's not the big politics behind.
Yeah.
You know, I want to write about the soldier who is fighting in the war. You know.
Yeah.
There is also a song called Tapephobia, which means if you're a soldier fighting on front line,
Yeah.
and granite exploding next to you, you get buried alive by the debris coming down.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's
And that's something I wrote about in what happened in the World War One, when they're really fighting in the trenches on the front line. You know, that's something I'm really interested in. Or Battle of Harvest Moon. It's a battle from the Vietnam War, where thousands of people died. You know, I don't want to tell the people who is a good one or a bad one in the war, whatever.
yeah.
I don't want to know, talk about the politics. You know, the message in every song, in the end, is really simple: stop the war. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to live in a peaceful world. You know. I cannot change anything. You know, but I can scream it out. You know. And what you told about the sound, you know, I have to tell you that we recorded the sound on a tape machine.
Yeah, I know, especially the drum. Yeah, the drums.
Especially the drums, because we need
Yeah.
24 tracks just for the drums, you know.
That's beautiful.
And a friend of Tony's running a studio with a tape machine. And I asked him, do you still recording bands with it? He said, yes. You want to try? So I talked to Tony. I said, okay, I'm going to try, because when you play drums on a tape machine, you just have one take, you know.
Yeah,
You cannot stop and doing like digital recording as restart here. You have to restart from the beginning, you know. And Tony is a very good drummer. He played some tracks in one take, you know.
in one
We
time.
recorded some different versions from a song, and then we decided it, you know. And I like the natural drum sound, you know.
Of course, because it's kind of the analog. Because what we have today is a sound that is too polished, which can be good for different genre, but
Yeah.
when it's too polished, especially when you're talking about, for example, like you said, the topic or the message of speaking about how someone can see through their eyes in the trenches of war, especially the drum connected with it, if they are raw, without being too much polish in analog, can push the message. It's like
Really? Yes,
the drum of war. It's give you more, make you feel more, and it's important to show this to people. And of course, I mean, this is could be also kind of not a battle risky, but like a big decision, because we are so used now today, especially the younger generation, to hear such a polished, clean sound.
I know the problem is what we have had, you know, when you know, the most people, so we don't put any samples on the drums, you know, on the snare sound, you know. I like the snare sound like it sounds in nature. The natural, organic snare sound, bass drum sound, you know. We don't want to use any samples or whatever. It doesn't matter if you're recording on tape or on digital. We don't want to push any triggers, whatever, and any plugins for the drums, you know. I hate it, you know. I like the old school drum sound from the 80s, you know, with a big drum sound and the guitars left and right, you know, like a big wide open production. But in the end, our producer, our engineer told me, we have to compress the whole file, you know, because people listen to music on a smartphone, you know. And if you listen without any headphones on a smartphone, you just and you have a wide open production, you hear the drums and the vocals, and you miss the guitar. So we have to compress the whole file.
Yeah.
Because of CD, Spotify, whatever, people will, the most people listen on a smartphone, you know.
Yeah. No,
so that is a shame. But in the end, you know, the drum sound is very natural, and that is the most important thing. We recorded the guitars on digital, but using microphones standing
Okay.
in front of the speakers, and
Okay.
there was a special magic between the speaker and a microphone.
And that's
So it's not a modern production, it's an
okay.
old school production, but I like it.
But I mean, okay, because we need, I think that we are losing the kind of the key, what is music actually, without being too much digitalized. They could be good in certain genre, maybe more, I don't know, disco or something, but
Yes.
for the raw music, like rock, I mean, it's just, it's like our country song with Johnny Cash. It was just raw as it was, with his voice, maybe not perfectly, maybe he was drunk, maybe we recorded, and the song remain in history. The song, that performance live remain in history. And it doesn't matter,
Exactly.
even with mistakes. Sometimes the smallest mistake, making a recording, the right recording, it's what make this album unique. So
and I think that makes this album so special. It's expensive to book a studio with an analog desk. You have to pay the price. You have to pay the studio renting and everything. I know if you're recording with a computer in a rehearsal room, which is possible. That's no problem. It's cheap. It costs nothing. But I don't want. I want to spend some money for it. And because it's a big experience. We don't want to go back, when we record it on tape, But for me, there was some special feeling, when the band is in the studio, we drink, the engineer is mixing, we're drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette, whatever,
This
It's
is the
it's a
vibe.
kind of, it's good for the band, called band feeling,
Yeah, because that's what you are creating also while you're recording. It's like having a cigarette, having a beer or whatever, just having even an herbal tea. Who doesn't do that? Just creating this kind of warmth vibe that people can feel and hear, especially, okay, I understand. We have all smartphone, we have all Alexa crazy there, but at the end, if you got the vinyl, for example, which is one of the rawest way that you can feel the music nowadays, I think you can feel it even better. So that's
And
why.
if you're gonna buy the vinyl is a little bit more, There's special vinyl mastering,
Yeah.
And a mastering for, for the download portal like Spotify and all this stuff, Where just MP3 file,
Yeah, it's different.
But that is what I prefer, the vinyl, because I don't want to listen to music on my smartphone. I got my stereo equipment here, I get my speakers here, I get my record player, I want to celebrate it.
Of
I
course.
put out the lyrics, I put out the photos, and I see the cover. It's like going back to the 80s, When you celebrate, you're gonna buy an album, and then you go home. That was a celebration, It's not now people consuming music every day and all around the clock, and all the time,
And sometimes with this shuffle, whatever playlist, maybe you find a song that you like it, and then you're gonna forget who played that song, who performed that song. While back even in the 90s, 80s, you were going in a shop, in a record store, you were there looking vinyl, CDs, whatsoever. You have to, who is this band? To bring it.
It's a ritual.
Opening, looking and even reading the lyrics, it was useful also for the language, learning the language, understanding. You don't know what it means, you have to take the dictionary. I remember when I was younger. That's something.
When you listen to the music and look at the cover, it's like a movie going on,
Yeah, because even in
that is something
and
experience any music consumer,
Exactly. And since you kind of mentioned movie as a visual, if there will be kind of a if I don't know if it already existed, or how will you portray in your mind in a short movie, or if there would be a movie about the Arsonist?
No, I think when for example, when I start writing the lyrics,
Okay.
It's a process of over years, When we get a new album out, we start collecting new ideas for the next one.
All right. Okay.
Maybe the next one will gonna be an EP, whatever, what I told you before. Now for me it's gone. I don't know when I want to come back, I don't have any date, I don't want to set myself under pressure,
No, I just
I'm still creative. I still have tons of ideas for doing other things, and doing music, whatever. And my doctor said, you're in a very good condition. You are 62 years old, but you slow it down a little bit and see what happens, you know.
Yeah, but it's of
But
course.
I'm still strong. I'm still creative. I'm still able to do it, you know.
Yeah, and of course, in all the recording, there was this process of recording. There was a moment that really that you cherished while you were recording and mastering the Arsonist. Like maybe one moment in the rehearsal room that you said, "I feel like I don't know, it was back in the 80s or something like that." Some really warm memory.
I like, you know, I'm a fan of the 80s, you know. You don't, we cannot go back, you know. We have to try to write better songs,
Yeah.
new songs, you know. Yes, but if you get the feeling of the 80s put it in a production of an album, you know, with a tape machine, the mixing desk, and the studio, you know, it's great, you know. And you know, other bands, the drummer is living in America, the guitarist living in Europe, whatever, and they're putting songs together with MP3, trading, you know. It's not the band. We still have a rehearsal room, you know, where we met, you know, when the guitarist come with a guitar riff, whatever, you know. Okay, I like it, the riff, but we have to arrange it and put it together in a
Yeah.
rehearsal room, you know. And that is a feeling, you know. And this is something I never stop. This is the only way for me working with a band on new songs or on live material, whatever, you know.
Being all together, not just super apart, being like together. But of course,
Yes.
just to mention, because it's like I said, you have two upcoming show. We're gonna be in Copenhagen, just to say to the people, in 2025, the 20th of June, and Rock Cards the 2nd of July. So the people at least know where they can see. You were gonna perform, I think, the Arsonist in this live show.
Honestly, because I know that we have a very short running time,
Yeah.
you know. That is always a problem doing a set list, you know. I think we got 1 hour on the Copenhagen, and we just got 45 minutes on Rock Cards, you
Yeah.
know. But we want to do, but I think we want to play one song from a new album, you know. But
Okay.
you know, we can't leave the stage without Agent Orange and
Yeah, I know.
Nuclear Winter, whatever, you know. I know we want to change the set. If you're gonna have 2 hours running time, you can change some, put in
Yeah,
some classics, some rarities in it, some newer material, you know.
yeah.
But now we do kind of best of, and we want to play. I think we want to play the song Witch Hunter
Yeah, of course.
on one of these shows, you know, because people, I think people like it, you know, and it's iconic. You know, Witch Hunter's always present, you know.
Yeah,
He
it's
was a former of the band. He was there from the beginning, and that will,
beautiful
I
homage.
think, that will be the song. I have to talk to the band, you know.
It's a beautiful homage because that's going to be something really. It's also I think a song that you would like to suggest to the people to listen when they got the vinyl. Let's be precise. Tag the vinyl if you can, because it's the best way. If you have
Yes.
to suggest it, yeah. If you have
There is also a box set out, you know, with the live EP, you know,
there
and some other stuff, you know. Okay, I think the box set is always 70, 80 euros, whatever, you know. If you don't want to spend the money, just gonna buy for 20 euros and get the vinyl, you know.
yeah,
That's the thing, you know.
but
I don't have any influence on the price, politic, whatever, you know, when the record company, but we always try to keep the price as low as possible.
it's not.
It doesn't matter what configuration it is.
It's not cheap creating and making a vinyl. Also a box. These are the prices of the market.
Yeah,
but
the
I
price
think
is rising up. If you start printing T-shirts, whatever merchandise, you know, and when we buy the T-shirts, you know, we have to pay more, you know. The price is rising, you know, but we always try to keep it slow, you know.
Yeah, and also I think what is really important is that, like I said, no matter what, you have a lot of collectionists around the world. The box gonna sold out immediately before the 27th. So just the people, there are pre-order. Take the whatever, if you want something for your collection, the vinyl. But mainly for this occasion, since you recorded in analog the drum and the message is deep of the album, to have a better connection with this work, take it on the vinyl. So that's my advice: take it on the vinyl. And plus it's not just but it's for all the band, I think, around the world, because otherwise the vinyl production is gonna die, and it's a shame. So always support the vinyl.
I would spend the money for the vinyl, you know.
Me too, yeah.
It's not expensive, you know.
Yeah, so I really was a really pleasure and an honor meeting one of the main, I mean, Sodom and Sodom. I don't have to say nothing else. It was really a pleasure meeting you, Tom. And I wish that take all your time in music, enjoy, because you gave us such a big legacy of music that we have all the time to enjoy it. So when you will come for the new album, you're welcome. Take your time. And
all right, thank you, and hope to see you next time, whenever.
Of course. I mean, I have to go. I mean, and thank you for the music you gave us for all these years. It wouldn't be the music without your influence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bye and take care, and thank you.
Take care. Bye.
I got no trigger discipline, 'cause I'm the chosen one to kill. I got no trigger discipline. Humanity begins.